If you take a look at my channel, you'll see that there's multiple videos on how to set goals. And these videos typically cover how to set goals as well as some potential ways to achieve them. But then I realized I hadn't really made any videos on areas in your life to focus on setting goals. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tyler Warlow. I go by The Mengineer, and I make videos on how to improve your life through your confidence, capabilities, and overall happiness. As most people know, it's actually pretty easy to set goals. You can make goals about pretty much anything that you want, but that's where the real difficulty comes in. How do I know where to make goals to really get the best bang for my buck, or to see the most improvement out of my life? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the top areas in your life that you should focus on setting goals. And I do feel like all of these are important, but I will be going in order from what I think is the least impactful to the most impactful. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. The first type of goal that I wanted to talk about are social goals. The world that we live in is becoming more and more online, and this was only accelerated by the fact that we went through a pandemic that forced most of us indoors for about 2 years. This accelerated the fact that everything is moving into an online space, and it made the online world one of the few ways people had to connect. But as social connections are moving more and more online, loneliness is becoming more and more of a problem. And even though loneliness has seen some improvement since the pandemic, it's still seen as fairly high. One of the best parts about having social interaction with other people is that you have some form of a support system. You go through life's lowest lows, but you also have people there with you to go through life's highest highs. And social interaction can come in many forms. This can be through coworkers or friends or even your family. But if you've been catching yourself feeling lonely lately, or even feeling like you're lacking support, try to make it a goal to build some form of a social circle. There's multiple ways that you can do this. You can invite a coworker that seems to hold common interests out for some sort of dinner. You can try and make an effort to connect with your friends that you've been with for a while. For instance, I try to have some sort of guys' night with my buddies from college at least once a month. In terms of your family, try to have a 30-minute phone call with someone from your family at least once a week. In terms of making new connections, there's so many clubs out there for people who are looking to get into things. Just looking to a subject, whether that's a sport, whether that's some sort of show. There is some sort of club out there that you can typically connect with other people about it. By having social interaction and forming these friend groups or even family support, you're ensuring that you have support through hard and difficult times, which is incredibly important when you're actually going through those situations. But speaking of social goals, let's try and get this video out there. If you happen to find this video or other videos to be helpful or informative, please be sure to give a like and subscribe, as it helps the channel out a lot and it spreads the information to people who might not otherwise know it. Thank you so much in advance, and let's continue with the video. The next type of goal that I want to talk about are learning goals, which again, I've made several videos on this channel about continued learning. A lot of people think that once they finish school, they're done. They don't have to learn anything new, but that's not the case. I once heard a quote that goes, "If you're not growing, you're dying." And I feel like this is incredibly true in our ever-changing world. Our world is experiencing new technologies at a faster and faster pace. So if you're not learning along and keeping up with the times, you're falling behind. As technology progresses, we need to be able to progress along with it and understand how to most effectively use that, whether that is for our careers, some sort of creative process, or even just to connect with other people. But learning goes beyond just our progressing world and technology. It also pertains to yourself as well. You should always be seeking to try and improve yourself and aim to be the best version of you that you can be. The person that I was at the beginning of college is very different from the person I am today. There were a lot of personal things that I was dealing with, but because I took the time to learn and maybe think about some of my weaknesses, I've grown to be a very different person. That's not to say that I have conquered all those weaknesses, but being aware of them and working towards resolving them helps to improve my life and my relationships. There are so many different ways for you to learn new things. You can take a class if you're interested, whether that's online or in person, or you can even take advantage of free resources. If you're interested in free resources for continued learning, you might want to check check out one of my other videos, which I'll have linked down below, which was about my favorite free resources for continued learning. But I want to hear from y'all. What are things that you're trying to learn? Is there a new skill or a new hobby that you're into? Let me know in the comments down below. I love hearing from you guys, and I try to respond to every comment. The next area of your life that you should look into having some goals for are your career goals. Now, this can look different for anyone. You could be someone that is self-employed, or you could be someone that is working for a company. But either way, you should have some sort of goal or benchmark that you're aiming for. For example, if you're working for a company, it's not really great to not have an idea of where you might want to go or what you might be interested in pursuing. Because if you kind of just end up coasting and doing the same thing, what happens further down the line when you might need some form of promotion in order to support your growing family or needs or wants? By having goals for your career, you have something that you can work towards and kind of develop tangible action items that can help you walk towards that goal. If you're self-employed, having personal goals for your business is great, but be careful not to make it a numbers game. I found that one of the most important things in terms of building your own business is focusing on consistency as well as building systems. If you build your consistency and setting up your systems, along the way, the business will come to you. Just be patient with it. And coming in at number 4 is going to be having some sort of financial goal. What is it that you want? One of my favorite books for talking about finances is I Will Teach You to Be Rich, where it talks about defining your rich life. You should take some time and decide, what is it for you that would make you feel rich? Is it owning a house? Is it being able to go out every night and have fun with your friends? Or is it being able to travel? By figuring that out, you can then adjust your finances accordingly. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Each of those different examples that I mentioned will have different ways of budgeting. I highly recommend checking out the Bigger Pockets Money podcast if you're interested in hearing stories from different people and their different lifestyles that they've established. But by getting clear as to the type of lifestyle that you want to live, it helps you be able to establish a roadmap towards that. And you can start actually allocating your money in ways rather than just letting it sit there in a savings account. I know when I first graduated high school, that's basically all I knew was save, save, save. But there's many other things that you can do with your money, such as investing it or using it towards learning, like I mentioned earlier. It all depends on what you want to do with your life. Now, these last two were really close to each other, but I will explain my reasoning in a second. Coming in at the second most impactful type of goal are family goals. Now, this is just an opinion of mine. You don't necessarily have to agree. I know that everyone has lived different situations, but in my opinion, connecting with your family is one of the best things that you can do. I know personally, one of my future goals is that I never want to miss an event for one of my kids. I try to talk to my siblings somewhat regularly, as well as my parents and grandparents. And I know that I'm incredibly lucky to be able to do that. But I try to make it a conscious effort to maintain my relationships with my family. Because, like I mentioned earlier with the social goals, they have been some of my best support through some of my hardest times. My family was there for me when no one else was. So by making a conscious effort to try and maintain those relationships and show that I care, I hope that it reassures my family that I'll always be there for them. And I know that when the time comes, they would do the same for me. And keep in mind, when I say family goals, this doesn't have to be your biological family. This could be your chosen family as well. I know a lot of people that really aren't close with their biological family just due to various circumstances, but they have a really closely knit friend group that they have been with for years. So maybe make goals in terms of that and the ways that you want to maintain those friendships and that chosen family. And last, but certainly not least, coming in at the number 1 spot, in my opinion, is fitness related goals. Now, I'm sure a lot of you might disagree with this one, but hear me out. The reason that I put this at number 1 is by having fitness related goals and ensuring that you are living a healthy lifestyle, as well as having a certain level of fitness to be able to do things, you're ensuring that you'll be able to maintain your lifestyle as well as work towards all the other types of goals that I mentioned in this video. If you don't maintain your health and your fitness, you'll find that you might get sick or you might not feel well pretty often, which can take away from your energy levels as well as make you just an irritable person. It's It's hard to be someone that other people want to be around when you're constantly feeling like crap. For me personally, I found before I got into health and fitness, I was constantly tired. I was never getting enough sleep, as well as I actually found it difficult to do simple things such as changing a tire. The tire was too heavy for me to take off the car. Once I got into health and fitness and started actually taking more care of myself, I started getting better sleep, which in turn just made me a happier person and had more energy, to the point that even my family noticed the difference in how I behaved. As I gained strength from weight training, it made it easier for me to perform everyday tasks, so that way I didn't have to call someone else to get them done. On top of this, by having some sort of consistent fitness routine, it helps your body kind of get into this mode of releasing dopamine and other feel-good chemicals in the body, and it can help you fight off things such as depression and anxiety. For all of those reasons, that's why I say fitness goals comes in at the #1 spot. If you disagree or you feel like you have a different ordering of these, please be sure to leave a comment down below. I love to hear from everyone. But that is going to bring us to the end of today's video. If you found the video to be helpful or informative at all, please be sure to give it a like and a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. And again, if you have any ideas or thoughts of your own, please be sure to leave a comment down below, and I like to try and read and respond to all of them. If you're interested in more videos where I talk about concepts relating to goals, be sure to check out this video right here, where I talk about the difference between short-term versus long-term goals. If you're interested in some of my more recent stuff, be sure to check out this video right here. But until the next time, this is the Mengineer, signing off.